the 7th day of the 6th month of Tindos, M49999. Today, I made the reacquaintance of Lord Belknap. By the Emperor, he was much changed. A terrible pallid yellow had claimed his skin. His cheeks were gaunt, hollowed out and bristling with stubble. Clearly, he had not been sleeping. A persistent twitch had taken residence about his left eye, and the skin beneath his eyes, which were themselves bloodshot, was puffy and purple. And then there was his attire. The man I had known would not wear unlaundered clothes, nor would he tolerate the general scruffiness that had, altogether, diminished him. "Derleth!" he exclaimed upon seeing me. I was taken aback by the ferocity of his enthusiasm. A musty smell gathered like cobwebs across my nostrils. He had not left the room in days. "You came, good man, you came. "Of course," I replied, stepping into that strange study. Books were scattered across the table and floor. A chair had fallen and been left upturned. "What the hell is this, Belknap? What have you gotten yourself into?" "An acquisition," he returned, his eyes gleaming. I noticed the twitch in his eye, lending his expression a ghastly mania. "It is not, strictly speaking, legal." "Belknap." Yes, I'm quite aware. That is one of the reasons I contacted you. You can make it legal, yes? You know I only seek to help humanity." "You abuse our friendship," I accused, "and overestimate my authority." He laughed, still jovial. "Let me show you. These matters of ethics and law shall henceforth seem entirely trivial, I assure you." From his desk drawer, he procured a black stave, almost a foot long, and set it on the table. It was not unlike obsidian stone, but it was not a material that I have ever seen before. It possessed such a dearth of color that it seemed a thing of purest darkness. "It is numerology," Belknap announced. "All of it is numerology. A conversion of reality into figures and back again, transforming the absurd into the very real." "And you are no Magos," I reminded him. "No, but I am an enthusiastic amateur, and bolder than most in the quest for knowledge. I don't understand how it works, but its application." "Belknap, wait! Before you speak of repercussions and heresies committed, wait. For the sake of our friendship, Derleth." I saw the glint of utter madness in his eyes, the hysteria that had robbed him utterly of his reason. "I should go," I said, turning away. At once, the room was plunged into a sudden gloom, so absolute that I could not see an inch from my nose. I cried out, but my exclamations were short-lived, for illumination soon returned, and before me stood Belknap, grinning ear to ear, having materialized between myself and the door. "Do you see? Space is a fiction, for between every point there are infinitely many others. For every distance, there are a billion pathways, some of such epic length that it should take warships millennia to travel them, and others so short that man may traverse it in a single step." I recoiled in alarm and horror. "This is alien technology. This is heresy." Yes, and I shall accept your master's slaps upon my wrist. But don't you see? I have cracked it. I have walked between the spaces that do not truly exist, without the aid of warpcraft. It is simply numerology. Think of it, Derleth. Those monstrous navigators rendered obsolete. All those cackling witches with their blood-stained astral telepathies made unnecessary. all the storms and the disasters, averted by humanity forevermore. This is madness, Belknap. You cannot replicate this technology, even if my masters wanted you to. He laughed with a giddy happiness that sent chills down my spine. I have proved that it can be done. That these places beyond places can be walked by human feet. The rest I leave to better minds, but I can be their impetus. I can add my name to the annals of the Imperium's restoration. You have lost your mind. Nonsense. Just listen, man. These places do not exist. At least, not by any material definition of existence. The very lexicon is insufficient. But listen. These are places so empty that they are indistinguishable from nothing. That knowledge was costly, Deleth. I have lost many lives, rats I mean, killed by pressurization, suffocation, the void. Many never returned at all. I believe them starved, or else victims of dehydration. The key is the shortness of distance. There are infinite paths between infinite points, you understand. But there is such a fine line between safety and madness, Derleth. A single step, any less is utterly incomprehensible. I have seen rats driven to complete distraction, traversing meters in twitches, biting at their own tails. It must be comprehensible. Though, of course, it won't be, it can't be. But it must be just comprehensible enough to trick our mammalian minds. I shook my head. You steal from Xenos who have made a mockery of space and time, Belknap. Do you not think there will be consequences? Ha! I shall always be one step ahead. They shall chase me across points so close that they cannot be distinguished by the naked eye. I stared at him. It was clear he was beyond reason. You must give me this device. Ah, so your masters are interested then? No, you simply must not have it. It is not good for you. Surrender it willingly. I shall vouch for you. I shall do what I can. I think not, old friend. You don't see the potential. There is no potential here, only damnation. And if you do not surrender it willingly, they shall come for you. But I won't be able to protect you. You have not been listening. While I possess this device, I cannot be caught, not even by your masters. I have unlocked the very cosmos. I simply wish to share. Don't you see? Don't you see? I felt the weight of the gun in my pocket, that loose, miniaturized las pistol that has proven essential from time to time. I was quite tempted to shoot him there and then, but I have never been the quickest draw, nor the most accurate shot. And, fool that I was, I still hoped to save him from his folly. Very well, Belknap. For the sake of our friendship, I shall contact my masters. I only ask that you are here when I return with their answer. No tricks, Derleth. At any whiff of treachery, I shall be gone, and you shall never find me. I can assure you of that. Of that, at least, I believe you. We left it at that. I exited that bizarre study, fending off the inquisitive glares of worried servants and Belknap's elderly housekeeper. No doubt they saw the worry upon my face, as plainly as I saw the worry upon theirs. But my old friend's troubles were far beyond the restorative power of a bed or a clean set of clothes. His servants could not help him. I had only one recourse: to report to my masters, as promised, and to act upon their response. I pray for a swift reply. The 8th day of the 6th month of Tindos, M49-999. I have sent a report to my masters. I shall have their... My writing was disturbed by a most rude interruption, for not only did Belknap visit my residence, he travelled to me through the use of his abominable device. Throne knows how he discovered my address. I shall try to recount in fullest detail his visit, even though it still leaves my soul shaken and my mind spinning with the darkest thoughts. I was in my study when a great darkness befell me, and cleared to reveal the madman with his stave. He was as I had left him, mad-eyed, dishevelled, and greyed by exhaustion. But there was a marked difference. An occult green glow about his head, shimmering faintly despite the absence of any light to cause such illumination. He did not give me the chance to protest his abrupt entrance, launching quite instantly into his manic screed.
There has been a development, Derleth. They have found me! They have found me!
I scrambled to my feet. What manner of thing has found you? I thought of my gun, still loose in my pocket.
I am not entirely sure, he replied. I had only the faintest impression of it, out there in the place between places. A cyclopean metal thing, glowing green in the nothingness.
You fool! You will bring it upon both our heads.
Your masters, they will help me, yes? You have received their reply?
I've sent a missive, but it will take time.
We do not have the luxury of time. You truly haven't been listening, have you? Time is but distance of another kind, and distance possesses so many infinitudes that it cannot be said to exist at all.
You make no sense.
I make perfect sense.
He gestured wildly at my papers and desk.
Take this study. If it possessed an infinity of colors and shapes, in what sense would it be one thing? In what sense would it be a study at all?
Enough of this nonsense. Why have you come here? He paced up and down the length of my desk, dizzying me with his frantic movements. His hand still clutched at that infernal stave, so black that even the impossible glow of its eerie halo could not bring it the slightest sheen of colour.
An Auspex. Do you have an Auspex?
Why?
Well, do you?
Yes, but by the throne, Belknap, why does it matter? He did not respond, reaching out with his free hand as if I were his servant. Knowing better than to reason with this insanity, I reached into the drawer of my desk and handed him what he wanted. A small, portable Auspex, handcrafted by the tech priests of Malar. It was a remarkable device. Its frame was constructed from the polished bone of adepts past, an item not only of supreme technology, but of some small history as well. Belknap pointed the Auspex at his head, as if he were some suicidal lunatic, and compressed the runes. A series of frantic beeping sounded from the device, a sudden crackle of dancing luminem, followed by a short plume of acrid smoke. He tossed it on the table, and I saw that my prized Auspex was entirely ruined.
"'Tis the same. 'Tis the same."
"My Auspex!" I protested, but Belknap did not care to hear me.
"My Auspex did the same," he said. "The machine's spirits protest at the impossibility of what they see. The incomprehensibility of it all. Like the rats, driven to distraction."
I sighed. And what of it?
"Don't you see? This light does not exist, and yet it exists everywhere and nowhere."
"It does not exist everywhere," I replied levelly, trying to inject some reason into these ramblings. "It does not exist around my head, or about my table."
"It is the mark. It is their mark. Don't ask me how I know, Derleth, but it is the mark of death."
"You should never have used this thing, Belknap. You should never have even acquired it."
"'Tis too late for that. Much too late. You must help me."
"How?" He kept at his pacing, a rat caught in a maze.
"There is nowhere to hide," he muttered.
He chuckled, sounding entirely mad.
"Well, of course, there is an infinity of nowhere. But it will find me there, too."
He cast his insane eyes upon me.
"Perhaps through time. I might travel such that I had never touched it at all. Is such a thing possible? Numerology, my old friend. Numerology."
You speak in riddles.
"Is that how I know these things? Have I already traveled to the future and to the past? Would I even know? What remains of a mind confronted with utter paradox, Derleth? Am I mad, Derleth? Tell me, man! Am I utterly insane?"
He fixed me with such a stare that I shall never forget. A stare at once both terrified and delighted, wise and yet idiotic, a paradox of lunatic emotions. I was about to reply, to attempt to calm him down. But then his eyes widened, the green light about his head collecting like warp-touched moonlight in oval pools. With these grotesquely wide eyes, he stared over my shoulder and screamed in absolute terror. I felt something looming behind me and reached for my pistol, but by the time it was in my hand, both the presence behind me and the man before me had vanished. I stood alone in that empty room, attempting to collect my wits and my reason, for, in the periphery of my vision, I had seen its reflection from the corner mirror. There had stood a cyclopean machine, its eye a solid green orb, its shape humanoid in aspect, but devoid of flesh or organic parts. Though I only had the briefest glimpse of the abomination, I was left with the enduring impression of a profound hate radiating from that featureless, glowing eye, a hate like which I have never known, and should never like to witness again. Belknap was gone, fleeing down his nothingness places, pursued by those Xenos that exist between the spaces, sprinting through paradoxes and the tangled veins of time itself. The stave had travelled with him. The only evidence of his visit was the broken Auspex steaming on my table. I shall contact my masters again. An extra-dimensional Xenos, in my study, upon an Imperial world. This cannot be ignored. The 10th day of the 6th month of Tindos, M49999. I return from a most awful day. A stiff drink shall assist me in this accounting, and I can only pray that someone much wiser than I can make sense of what I am about to write. My old friend, that wayward fool and heretic, Lord Belknap, is no more. In his place is left an imbecilic husk, a sludging intellect destroyed by hubris, servitized by some cruel, alien technology. They found him wandering the streets outside his home, his clothes tattered and torn, his eyes vacant and wandering, his movements waddling shuffles of diseased locomotion. The stave was gone, reclaimed by whatever foul thing had destroyed him, along with the inexplicable illumination about his head. The matter, I think, is settled, and all that is left to do is to pick up the pieces. When my contacts alerted me to Belknap's deranged return, I had him brought to my old friend and accomplice, Schultz. When she showed me the images of his brain, I still struggle not to weep at the thought of it. What should be an oval, grey mass on the screen is a shriveled organ, riddled with black emptiness, shrunken from the edges of his skull, diseased and mutilated. There is no mark upon his flesh, no scar or bruise upon his person, not otherwise explicable by the mild injuries of his flight. And yet the synaptic tissue of his brain seems partially disintegrated. The damage cannot be repaired. The tissue is simply gone. Perhaps it still exists in those spaces between spaces, or else scattered through time, destroyed by paradox and hideous folly. I have brought him home for safekeeping. As I write, he sits across the table from me, entirely absent, shuffling in his seat. He shall never speak again. He does not seem to recognize me or my voice. He does not have the faculty to eat or drink, and I shall have to sustain him via medical apparatus. The man seems capable only of breathing and taking clumsy steps. He is compliant and easily led, and but for his occasional wandering off, he is no trouble. That is perhaps the worst thing. The man I knew was such trouble, and though it led him to all manner of darkness and heresy, I confess that I will miss him. It is all I can do not to weep. I shall keep him here until my masters come, and bring a conclusion to this sorry tale. I pray to the Emperor that it will be soon. The sooner this sorry mess becomes a sordid memory, the better. Wait, the clock has just struck 6, and he stirs to the peal of the ringing bells. He gestures. Does some shadowed part of him remember that it is the hour of port and cheese? I shall offer him a drink and see what he does. Woe. Woe is this hideous hope of mine. Whatever shade sits across from me is not Belknap. For a few moments he held the glass, and then it slipped from his idle fingers, spilling the port across my carpet. He made a sound, like a grox, softly braying, but I think that was merely the dull expression of surprise when the cup banged his knee. It brings me such horror to look upon him. It is all I can do not to shoot him dead, and end this nightmare for us both. I shall instead recount a happier time, to distract my mind from present horrors. The occasion that we first met, in the collegiate, 2 young men away from home for the first time, still struck by the thrill of interstellar travel, wiser to the insidious perils of the warp, but intact and happy. We shook each other's hand and offered our family names, speaking of our homes. Then I asked him what he hoped to achieve at the collegiate, and what manner of future he saw for himself. I do not think I shall ever forget his reply. I already know my future, he said, with no thought of humility or political good sense. I shall be an explorer, not of lands, but of ideas. I shall find those spaces between spaces, those mysteries as yet uncomprehended by our fellow man. Those words, were they a coincidence? Merely a flourish of rhetorical arrogance, tiptoeing up to the line of heresy with the bravado of a young, privileged man? Or, even then, was his mind afflicted, addled by future journeys through space and time, flights across paradox and those things beyond, those journeys that would drive him, inexorably, into moral madness? Should I have done more to help him? It is a sobering thought. But perhaps it is and was already fixed, fated by those unutterable laws of numerology. Enough. I should not think of such things. Such thoughts are dark roads to only darker destinations. Lit only by the green halo of follies best left undisturbed.
Thank you for listening to this video from the Archive Terra. If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe to the channel.